Hello, kindergarten friends. This is your art teacher, Mrs. Johnson at Washington Elementary. And today we're going to learn about a very famous artist named Claude Monet. We can just call him Monet, that's his last name. And he's so famous that I even have a doll made of him. So here you could see what he looked like. He lived over 100 years ago, so he's not alive anymore. But we're going to look at the paintings he made and a little bit about his life. So here he is. You can see he has a big white beard, kind of like Santa. He has an artist hat called a beret. He's got a paintbrush here. And not only did he love to paint, he loved to garden. So we are going to read a book called The Magical Garden of Claude Monet and look at what he had in his garden. So here we go, right on the cover. I can see him with his big white beard and a little girl who gets to go visit his wonderful garden. Here we go. I wish we had a garden, said Julie. She looked down at the drab river that went through the city. Even her dog, Louis the Greyhound, was bored being stuck inside. As soon as I finish this painting, said Julie's mother, I'll take you on a journey to the most wonderful garden in the world. It belongs to my old friend, the artist, Claude Monet. They took a big train beside the river far out of the city and into the countryside. But then Louis the dog began to run away down a hill across a road where a big wall stood around a mysterious garden. Stop, Louis, said Julie, but it was too late. Louis had gone inside. Julie didn't know what to do, so she got down on her hands and knees and followed after him. It was like she had crawled into a dream garden where twisting flowers grew as tall as trees. She ran around a corner and almost knocked over a man with a shovel. He had a straw hat and a big white beard. Oh, said Julie, I'm looking for my dog. Are you the gardener here? I suppose I am, said the man. Come and see. One day, these tiny seeds will grow into big flowers, but a gardener has to be patient, just like a painter. Then Julie realized, you must be Claude Monet, she gasped. Yes, I am, said the old man. Together they looked for Louis the dog down a shady path, deeper and deeper into the magical garden, until it was like the real world was far behind them. Under a willow tree, Julie saw Monet's umbrella like a huge white mushroom. And there was Louis the dog. He had a blue nose, a purple ear, and a green paw. Naughty dog, shouted Julie. You walked all over Mr. Monet's paints. I think your dog wants to be a painter, laughed Monet. Look, he even made a picture. It's just the puppy's paw prints. Then Julie saw Monet's paintings laying out in the sun to dry. She saw clouds floating on a mirrored pond, a field of golden haystacks, a row of wispy trees, and a little garden bridge. So Monet had a bridge in his backyard in his garden. He was very lucky, and he loved to paint his bridge over and over again. Here they are. They turned a handle on a rickety gate and stepped inside. It was like a garden inside the garden, a wild, wet water garden where willow trees bent over a silent pond. Together, they crossed the green bridge. Ooh, take a look here. Wow! When they rowed across the pond, it felt like they were floating in one of Monet's paintings. And they are. All of these pictures are from a painting that he really made, and then we have our characters for our storybook there too. Julie could hear the splash of the oars in the water and the birds calling in the trees. All around them, lily flowers sparkled like stars in the sky. And when they reached the very middle of the pond, Monet stretched into the dark water and pulled out lily pad as bright as a shining star. It's a present from my garden, he said, and gave it to Julie. They walked back to the house and Monet opened a big door. Here's my biggest idea of all, he said. I'm trying to paint the most enormous water garden in the world. When you stand in the middle of the room, you'll feel like you just jumped into the pool. That will be amazing, said Julie. So here's his couch in his house. Here are the paintings he was making of his pond way up to the ceiling. He wanted you to feel like you jumped into the pond when you look at his paintings. But for a moment, Monet looked sad. To tell the truth, I wonder if I'll get to finish, he said. I'm getting old now, and my eyes are getting bad. Julie thought for a moment. You will need to be very patient, she said, just like a gardener. Yes, Monet smiled, just like a gardener. Then he pulled out a watch. 6 o'clock, time to eat. Waiting in his yellow dining room was Mrs. Monet and Julie's mom. Here are your little runaways, said Monet. Now take a look here. First of all, Louis the dog ran away. She had to chase after him. Then he walked all over Monet's paints. Do you see what Louis the dog is doing now? He has jumped up on the table, taking some food, and he's knocked over a cup. Ooh, he's having a tough day, isn't he? Then it was time to leave. Monet walked with them to the river to say goodbye. But Louis wanted to say goodbye too. And as he jumped up, he knocked Julie's beautiful flower back into the river. Oh, Louis, she said, that was my special flower. They took the train back to the city, and even Louis the dog was tired. The garden was far behind them. But in the middle of the night, Julie heard Louis whining to go outside. She tiptoed through her apartment, and beneath the balcony she saw something sparkling on the river below. She ran outside, stretched into the water, and pulled out her lily, as bright as a shining star. It's my present from the garden, she whispered. It floated back to me like magic. And as everyone else was sleeping, she could smell the sweet smell of Monet's magical garden. Well, like I said, Monet was a real artist who was alive a while ago, and here is another picture of him with his big white beard. We're going to look at a few more pictures that he painted of his bridge in his garden, and then you guys are going to get to do your own project as well. Garden. Take a look and you can see his bridge stretching over the pond he had right in his backyard. On the pond, I see lily pads growing on the water, and lily pads have a flower that bloom on top. Here's another picture he made of his bridge, but it looks like maybe a bright summer day this time with pinks and yellows and bright colors all around. And do you see the second bridge in the water? He did not have two bridges. That is the reflection on the water. The water in his pond was so clear that day it was like a mirror. Here's another painting of his bridge, beautiful bright flowers blooming all around, and I can even see the path that he walked on to go up to his bridge. Here's another picture, looks more green, maybe it was a spring day when he painted this picture of his bridge. And what happened here? It looks like Monet maybe used his fingers to paint this picture of his bridge, but it's still there. You can see the top of the bridge, the bottom, and the railings. So even though it's a little bit different kind of painting, you can still see the bridge on this one. Here's a real picture someone took with a camera. It's in black and white because it was a long time ago, but you can see Monet on his bridge, and that's a reporter who's interviewing him because he was a famous artist when he was alive, too. Just like in the story we read, you can see he had a bright yellow dining room where he ate his meals, and you can see his couch and those huge paintings behind it that he was making. And his house and the bridge is still there today. You would have to get on an airplane and fly across the ocean to go visit his house, but you could walk across the bridge like the kids you see here and see his pond, and Monet isn't there, but there is a statue of him painting. Here are some more pictures of just the pond. So for your project, I would like to show me a pond like Monet's with water, lily pads, and flowers. You can also add in some pond critters like frogs or fish or turtles or other things that you would find in a pond. And here are a couple choices for you guys to have. You could use a paper plate and have that be your little pond. You could use anything to make little pop-up lily pads and flowers and show me what is in your pond. You could also try this cool activity where you take some masking tape and you make a bridge, you paint on top of it, and then peel off the tape and the bridge would be left behind. So a couple fun options for you guys to upload to Seesaw when you get a chance to show me your Monet's pond. All right, good luck!